Am I really the only one that remembers being hyped for a video game for months just to go to the store to pick it up? You get home, you get comfortable, you get yourself a nice snack, you look at your girlfriend, she's beautiful and loves you, your dog's adorable, life is good. You pop it in and think, this isn't as fun as I remember it to be. Well, in my opinion, every gamer hits a point where that spark fades. Life gets busy and uninspiring titles abound. Or maybe you just played one too many lackluster titles and got your hopes up one too many times for a game that looked great only to fall victim to the same problems and false promises that plague the modern age of gaming. Like an overweight 43-year-old dad plagues the existence of a sweet, innocent, cream-filled delicacy. Well, I, an intellectual, found myself in that rut not long ago. And by not long ago, I mean for the last 10 years. Disengaged from the virtual worlds I once loved exploring. When I was a kid, me and my grandpa would spend hours exploring Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, only to come across a strange forest, or a cave, or a dungeon. The feelings this game gave me, I can't even explain it to this day. Now granted, I do have a bias towards this game because it is my favorite game of all time. But still, that begs the question, are games just not as good anymore, or are we just getting older? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hey there, all you beautiful, game-loving, rage-baiting, high-blood-pressure-having compadres. Welcome to the Milky Donut. Today, we're delving into a topic that's truly close to my heart. How a certain eagle-screeching, freedom-loving, democracy-spreading video game, crafted by a minuscule team amidst an industry cluttered with lackluster, overpriced pieces of dog shit, reignited my passion for gaming. Not long ago, something miraculous happened. A game came along that reignited that dormant flame, reminding me of gaming's pure joy. Reminding me that games can be fun and be for the people and make me feel like a 14-year-old Pop-Tart eating kid again. Well, in this video, I'll share that journey with you, and together, we'll traverse the highs and lows of my 10-year gaming hiatus, explore how this game captivated me and drew me back in. So settle in, load up your beetle boomsticks with freedom seeds, and let's dive into the world of Helldivers 2. But Milky, I hear you say, why did you even quit gaming in the first place? Well, to start, I should admit that I never even really considered myself to be a massive gamer to begin with. But it is to say, for some of my friends, that was all they did. They'd often leave me behind and get so good at some games, I never even wanted to play with them. That being until November 10th, 2009, a juicy little game called Modern Warfare 2 released and unlocked a new part of my brain called freedom of speech. And I'll clarify, that does not mean I didn't spend a good chunk of my life burning away the retinas of my greasy little eyeballs on a 480p TV screen growing up, trying not to throw my PlayStation 2 controller to my TV screen because I'm 8 million enemies deep in that one stupid dock mission in Jak 2. It's been 2 hours since the last checkpoint, but I can't give up because I only have 3 games to choose from anyways. My thumbs are already blistered from button mashing combos and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 for 5 hours prior. My mom keeps walking in front of the TV with the stupid vacuum cleaner, and I get my sweet cheese clapped by a rogue missile only to finally beat it 2 days later and realize I don't have a memory card in. I was always more of a single-player, story-based type gamer anyways. I loved games like Skyrim, which taught me that I didn't need to eat, or have friends, or a girlfriend, or explore. I could do all of that in the comfort of my own room, while listening to the most glazy soundtrack ever conceived by mankind. Sweet Baby Ray's My Brothers, you better believe they cooked a feast for us with that. Not to mention other bangers like Left 4 Dead, Halo 2 and 3, Red Dead Redemption, Breath of the Wild, and many others. And in my opinion, the mid-2000s to 2010s was the golden age of gaming. And in that, I mean, developers seemed to truly just have passion for the titles they made. Studios took their time, they didn't rush development and release overpriced, unfinished games that are buggier than a Terminated planet on a Sunday morning pastry buffet. I mean, remember when games were simple? You paid $50 at most for a full game that was fun, finished, and dripping with unique premises and mechanics that set each game apart from one another. Sure, there were some stinkers here and there, but for the most part, life was good. And I'm not even blaming the game developers. I mean, most of the issues come from out-of-touch studio corporate heads that have no idea what fans actually want. They just see money signs and pump out consumer sludge for us to shut up, consume, and be happy about. So I'm gonna be real. Before I decided to start this YouTube journey, the last game system I had besides my Nintendo Switch was an Xbox One for like 4 months before I sold it. And for those of you who don't know, to put that in perspective, that was in 2013. I missed the whole next-gen movement. So coming back into the gaming world at this stage is a very unique experience. Fast forward to Christmas morning, 2023. I opened up a big box my girlfriend handed me, and lo and behold, my sweet dreams came true. A brand new PS5. My friends had been bugging me for a whole year, begging me to buy a PlayStation 5, and I could just never justify spending money on one when I didn't feel the passion for gaming that I once did. Although I would be lying if I told you I didn't want one. I was kinda jealous when cool looking games would release, and I was sitting at home playing my 300th hour of Breath of the Wild while my friends would tell me how good a game was. But now was my chance. Was this finally the time that my passion would come back? No, sadly, no. As much as I loved my brand new, beautiful, shiny sports car of a gaming system, I wouldn't say I fell in love with any games I played. I liked them a lot, yeah, for sure, and the graphics blew my mind because I had never had a system that had these capabilities before. But that certain spark was still missing that I once had. Maybe I'm just older and cynical and games don't hit the same as they used to. Well, luckily for me, I was completely wrong. On February 4th, 2024, one of the best things to happen to the gaming industry in years happened. Helldivers 2 released. Now, a good friend of mine messaged me and said, "Yo, there's this game that came out today, and it's only $40, maybe we should check it out." So I watched the trailer and I thought, damn, this looks pretty good. And even if it sucks, I'm only spending $40, so why not? I clicked purchase and anxiously awaited the notification telling me that the game had finished downloading. And from the very opening scene, I knew that this was something different.
But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No! Look familiar?
Within the first 3 minutes, I had witnessed a propaganda-filled, patriotic cinematic masterpiece that had me sending in eagles and eradicating illegals. Bugs. Anyways, recruiting ad that outdid any real-life military ad I had ever seen, and I was hooked. I wanted to be a Helldiver. What is Super Earth? I don't know, but goodness golly me if I'm not gonna save it. The tutorial, hilariously glazing your absolutely mid-combat skills while saying you're the most impressive thing he'd ever seen, was just perfect, sarcastic, self-aware things that I think games are missing these days. I could tell this game wasn't here to be the most gritty and realistic game ever. It was here to have fun. The music, the cinematics. And little did I know, how I viewed gaming was about to change forever. Our first Helldive was the most fun I'd had in a video game for so long. And somehow being overwhelmed by 6 bugs, which being a now battle-hardened Creek veteran, I look back and think, you just wait, you innocent little underbaked piece of dough, you. Not to mention the first time I dreaded opening up that microtransaction store expecting to see a lame armor set for $29.99, this is what I see.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Arrowhead Studios really put the micro back in microtransactions. And not only that, you don't even have to buy them. You could just, play the game. And I know that's a crazy concept. And it's not like they save the best weapons for paying players. I honestly think the Breaker shotgun is one of the best weapons in the game, and I still use it to this day. And it's one of the first weapons you can unlock. This is what big game studios need to learn. No one wants to play a game and feel left behind or inferior to other players because they decided to spend $40 on a bundle that has 2 armor sets, a couple of weapons, and paid for advantages. And I'm not even necessarily saying that in-game purchases are bad, because I don't think that's true. But don't alienate a huge portion of your fan base by charging stupid amounts for something that should have just been included in the game in the first place, especially when we've already paid upwards of a $70 price tag. And I'm no gaming industry expert, but even a simple guy like me knows when my donut hole's being taken advantage of. So what makes this game so fun? Why was this, out of all games, the game to get me back into gaming? Well, to explain that, we first have to dive into what this game actually is. In the realm of video games, few experiences rival the exhilarating chaos and sheer joy found in Helldivers 2. Developed by Arrowhead Game Studios, this sequel to the cult classic that no one's ever even really heard of takes the essence of its predecessor and amplifies it to new heights, delivering a game experience that's undeniably addictive and endlessly entertaining. And at its core, Helldivers 2 is a third-person shooter that pits players against relentless hordes of alien enemies in procedurally generated missions across hostile planets. But what sets us apart is its emphasis on teamwork, strategy, and unapologetic mayhem. One of the most compelling aspects of Helldivers 2 is its seamless integration of cooperative gameplay. And whether you're teaming up with friends or joining forces with strangers online, every mission becomes a symphony of chaos as players coordinate their actions, unleash devastating firepower, and desperately scramble to survive overwhelming odds. The sense of camaraderie that emerges from these intense battles is truly unmatched, fostering unforgettable moments of triumph and teamwork. Moreover, Helldivers 2 excels in its dynamic and unpredictable gameplay. With procedurally generated missions, one might think that this would get repetitive, but it doesn't. Every mission feels fresh and provides loads of hilarious moments that'll have you laughing in freedom with your friends. No two playthroughs ever feel the same, keeping players on their toes as they adapt to ever-changing environments, objectives, and enemy encounters. This element of randomness injects a sense of freshness and excitement into each session, ensuring that players are constantly challenged and engaged. The game's depth of strategy further enhances its appeal. From choosing loadouts and perks to coordinating tactics with teammates, every decision carries weight and consequence. Whether carefully planning a coordinated assault or improvising on the fly to overcome unexpected obstacles, players must constantly think on their feet, fostering a sense of agency and empowerment that's immensely satisfying. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be Helldivers 2 without its trademark brand of humor and charm. From its tongue-in-cheek propaganda messages to its over-the-top weaponry and outlandish enemies, the game never takes itself too seriously, inviting players to embrace the absurdity of its sci-fi universe and revel in the sheer fun of it all. Helldivers 2 stands as a shining example of what makes gaming truly enjoyable. With its seamless cooperative gameplay, dynamic and unpredictable missions, depth of strategy, and infectious humor, it captivates players with its irresistible blend of chaos and fun. This is why this game is doing so well. It has heart, and it has soul, and it prioritizes its fans over profit. Sure, the game definitely isn't perfect. It has its issues, and it can be super buggy at times. It definitely has its more than fair share of glitches, which, for better or worse, sometimes actually make for a more fun experience. But I especially experienced a lot of issues after updates such as clipping out of bounds, sometimes even multiple times per session, stratagems not working correctly, nerfs and difficulty spikes that felt unbalanced. Some of these issues I believe stem from the fact that Arrowhead Studios is pumping out so much content with such a little team that I think they could actually overwhelm themselves. But Milky, you delectable snack you, why don't they just hire more people to account for the unexpected success? Well, that would be all fine and dandy if video games didn't have a natural downward slope of popularity. No matter how good your game is, gamers will inevitably get bored. New games will come out, life always moves on. A small company like Arrowhead Game Studios can't afford to hire all these new people only to most likely lay them off 8 months later because the game has tapered off. Issues aside, the developers are transparent and honest, and they really do seem like they want to make a better game for everyone, and that's sadly something that's rare to see these days. But this makes me feel like a kid again, playing a new game after school. This is what I've been waiting all these years for. And I'm not saying there haven't been absolute glazers of games to come out in the last 10 years, because there absolutely have been. I mean, look at Red Dead Redemption 2, or Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, and other games like that. The difference is, for the most part, everyone already knew these titles. They were produced by massive studios that have the resources to make a game that really has no reason not to deliver in the first place. This was a game made by a small team that probably had no idea how big this game would even end up being. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, not a lot of mainstream gamers had even ever heard of Helldivers 1. And Helldivers 2 pulled off the impossible by not only creating an absolute banger, but went from a top-down shooter to a third-person shooter, and somehow made the change so seamless that you can't even imagine playing it another way. But let's dive even deeper. I really want to know what makes this game so fun, even from a scientific standpoint. I mean, this game is nothing short of a gaming phenomenon that will surely be a part of pop culture for many years to come. So how did this game come in and sweep up the gaming world off their feet, and even get stale, cynical, retired gamers like me to come crawling out of their sad little caves? So what is fun? Well, fun is a complex and subjective phenomenon that involves various cognitive, emotional, and physiological processes. From a scientific perspective, fun can be understood as the result of certain neural and psychological mechanisms that occur in the brain in response to enjoyable stimuli. At its core, fun is closely linked to the brain's reward system, which involves the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. When we engage in activities that we find enjoyable or rewarding, such as playing games, socializing, or pursuing hobbies, these neurotransmitters are released, creating feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. Well, Helldivers 2 has a great reward system that really makes you feel like you're making a difference with every mission. Every liberated planet is one step closer to achieving galaxy-wide democracy. The nature of a live service game done right is what makes this so effective. Having real-time objectives and the possibility of failing and letting communist bugs and robots take over just gives it a real sense of stakes. Additionally, fun often involves elements of novelty, challenge, and mastery. The brain was made by the great Lord above to seek out new experiences and challenges, as this promotes learning and adaptation. Well, Helldivers 2 is a game that only gets more fun the higher difficulty you play on. Where some games just get more frustrating and tedious the higher the difficulty is, Helldivers 2 just gets more absolutely balls to the wall chaotic. The more you master it, the more fun you'll have. And activities that offer a balance of familiarity, novelty, as well as opportunities for skill development and improvement are often perceived as fun because they engage the brain's cognitive faculties and provide a sense of accomplishment. Social interaction also plays a significant role in the experience of fun. Humans are inherently social beings, and activities that involve cooperation, competition, or simply spending time with others can enhance feelings of enjoyment and satisfaction. And sure enough, Helldivers 2, for the most part, has a fun and inviting gaming community that is a blast to be a part of. There's something absolutely hilarious about blowing a random teammate across the map, only to come together as a cohesive team at the end. This is due in part to the activation of brain regions that associate with empathy, bonding, and social reward, which are stimulated during social interactions. Furthermore, the subject nature of fun means that individual preferences and experiences can vary widely. What one person finds fun may not necessarily be enjoyable for another. Factors such as personality traits, cultural background, past experiences, and personal interests all influence how an individual perceives and responds to different activities. Not everyone will like the chaotic nature of this game, and that's okay. That's what games like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley are for. The fun can be understood as a multifaceted experience that arises from the interplay of neurological, psychological, and social factors. It's characterized by the activation of the brain's reward system, the engagement of cognitive processes such as novelty and challenge, and the facilitation of social interaction and bonding. And as we've explained, Helldivers 2 has checked every box. While the exact nature of fun may vary from person to person, its fundamental role in promoting happiness, well-being, and social connection is universal. I mean, come on, this game brought the PlayStation, PC, and Xbox communities together, having players desperately wanting to draft Xbox player recruits to join the freedom fighting movement. And although this is a great game, it'd be naive to think that at least some of its success wasn't attributed to being released at the perfect time. In my opinion, we're in somewhat of a dark age of media, being especially noticeable with movies but also games as well. The fall of the AAA game has never been more of a reality than it is now. Whether that's because of needless political agendas constantly being shoved down our throats, poor quality of games, or overly inflated prices, let's be honest, just a lot of products aren't as good anymore. So along comes in a little cost-effective game that most people can stomach spending $40 of their hard-earned cash on, that's only goal was for you to escape reality and have a good time with friends. Word of mouth was the only advertisement that this game even needed. I never even saw a trailer for it before my buddy told me to check it out. Helldivers 2 was a much-needed reminder that we, the consumers and fans, are the ones who control the path of the gaming industry. Without our money, there is no business. This is why I have no problem supporting Arrowhead Studios and giving them my money, because in my eyes, they earned it, and they never even asked for it. And if that doesn't make powerhouse game studios turn their heads and see what they're doing wrong, I'm not sure what will. But it was enough to give me a glimmer of hope for the future of gaming. Well guys, that's gonna do it for this video. This was actually my first YouTube video, so if you're still watching this, I seriously appreciate your time listening to me ramble on about a game that, let's be honest, everyone already knows is a glazer. So this was my first of many on a journey, and I'm so excited to make videos and express my thoughts on movies and games, and I'd massively appreciate it if you liked this video, hit subscribe, and you'd be doing me a massive favor. And you too can be a guardian of the glaze here at the Milky Donut.